Suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has urged his supporters to refrain from confrontational rhetoric that could frustrate his peace process. He made the remarks on Sunday during a night of tributes organized by the Rivers Elders and Leaders Forum in honor of the late elder statesman Chief Edwin Kiabudo Clark at the Royal House of Grace Church in Port Harcourt, the state capital. In his words, "Don't do things because you want to do them. Do things I want. I am the one that wears the shoes. I know the solutions to my problem. There are some things you do, rather than bring peace to me, it spoils my peace process and gives me more problems. I'm cautioning you all here. Before you do anything you claim to do for me, seek my consent." Fubara warned that the solemn occasion should not be misinterpreted, especially in light of some politically charged comments made by earlier speakers and clergy. This marked his first public speech since President Bola Tinubu suspended him from office and declared a state of emergency in the state on March 18, 2025. He said, "This is my first time speaking publicly since the events of March 18. I've attended several gatherings, but I've been careful with my words. When the mood of an event doesn't align with my beliefs, I feel very unhappy because many of you truly don't understand the situation." Fubara continued, "It's not about shouting Oshobe. At a point, that doesn't solve anything." He added, "Do you think I'm even interested in going back? Just look at me. I look better now. I have peace. If I had my way, I wouldn't go back there. My spirit left government house long ago." Fubara emphasized that not every battle is worth fighting and urged the public to ask whether he truly desires to return to power. Meanwhile, in a statement released by his media aide, Nelson Chukwude, Governor Fubara urged his supporters to refrain from confrontational rhetoric and to follow his example of strategic restraint and peace building. He noted that some remarks and actions by supporters were inconsistent with his own values and could further inflame tensions in the state. Fubara said he often wonders whether his supporters truly consider whether their approach leads to peace and reconciliation. He warned against acts that could worsen the already delicate situation. Ndamzi, what do you make of this story?
Thank you very much, Laurentia, for having me this morning. This story, in my view, I will start by saying that it is very, very important for a man to listen to voice of reason. And, in life, even God empowers us with spirit of discernment. Okay? I am beginning to feel that the governor have realized some of his mistakes of the past, because in the past, ab initio, our dear governor was talking very tough until Supreme Court declared that there was no government in Rivers State. And that led to the declaration of state of emergency out of ego trips, out of crisis merchants that were fueling the crisis. Ethnic chauvinists and jingoists came in and was encouraging it. But we thank God today that the governor have become so bold to caution some of these crisis merchants that are beginning to send wrong signals that may hamper the peace process. During our last show, we looked at the comment of the APC chairman in the state, where he accused the governor directly that he is the one sponsoring the demonstrations in the state. I think in that show we pointed out clearly some of the role crisis merchants and those who are scared that the peace process will push them out of the sharing table. Yeah, the governor now have made our position very clear. He has cautioned them that before they do anything, they should consult him, that most of the things they do are against some of what he believes. But this caution is coming late. He would have done this cautioning at that earlier stage when the crisis was brewing, because we advised earlier for ADR, alternative dispute resolution, which the politicians term as political solution, but the governor didn't listen to that.
But it was ADR initially.
Yes, ADR happened where the president intervened and it failed.
There was a failed ADR.
Yes, it was a failed ADR, and some people took the president to court and all that. That fueled the crisis. And see, if the governor had taken this disposition now at that early stage, believe me, we won't be here today. Because those around him, people took advantage of the ethnic interests. We heard how some ethnic heads were calling names, abusing people, and all that. We saw in this country when His Excellency came up openly and told the world that he will not obey the court judgment. The man who spoke yesterday, it's an opposite of that man who we are speaking ab initio. So I thank God that he is beginning to listen to voice of reason and allow wise counsel prevail. Then also, to his supporters, the man have indirectly accused them that that some of their actions, is hampering the peace process. That's true. We pointed it out rightly here that the actions these people are taking may send the wrong signal. Yesterday, the suspended governor had lambasted them. And I will also advise that the governor, the suspended governor, he should also tread with caution at this stage.
But he said he's being careful, particularly with his choice of words in public space. He's careful of the things he says. He's careful of how he says them. He said that. But then, one would say in the suspended governor's statement yesterday, they were kind of contradictory. Because I took my time to watch the entire video, I was really, really sold out watching that video. Now, the thing is, on one hand, he's cautioning his supporters, right, and warning them to be circumspect and to take permission from him before they do anything moving forward. And then, on the other hand, he is also saying that his supporters, by their actions, they are hampering the peace process. Even his media aide said that as well. On the other hand, in the same occasion, the governor is saying that he doesn't want to go back to the government house, that his spirit has left a long time ago. Now, if he doesn't want to go back to government house, the question is, why are you pursuing the peace process? These conflicting statements kind of betray. One would say it betrays the real intent of the heart. Like, what exactly do you want? Where exactly are you standing? While the suspended governor traveled abroad to push for peace, to speak with the president, and also meet with the FCT minister, his supporters in Rivers State were busy protesting day after day after day, right? And during that time, the walkout on the First Lady also happened, and they were screaming, give us Fubara. And now he's saying this. On one hand, he's saying, don't do anything that will hamper the peace process, that will frustrate the peace process. On the other one, he's saying, you should even ask me if I want to go back there. I don't want to go back there. My spirit has left a long time ago. When a leader comes to make statements like that, and you are pursuing peace, don't you think he's giving mixed signals? What exactly does the suspended governor want? Where exactly is he standing in this entire thing? Because it's kind of confusing.
Yes, thank you. In my view, I think the man have learned the hard way. He fought a good fight, but finally lost the battle. And we knowing what Nigerian politicians are, they double speak. Nigerian politicians are not always honest with what they tell the public. If he is truly sure that his spirit have left the government house, then he should tender his resignation. He should tender his resignation so that Rivers State will know that we wouldn't bother our heads with the reconciliatory processes. So we should be looking at, okay, INEC, step in and conduct another election. Because Governor Fubara, the suspended governor, is in an electoral and social contract with the electorate. The electorate gave him the mandate. So for him to vacate that position now, then he should resign. He should either resign. That's that. If truly he is sincere to himself that his spirit have left the government house, then he should resign. At that point, we will believe that truly his spirit have left the government house. But his spirit left the government house, and he's concluding the speech by advising the supporters to always confer with him before they take any action
in order not to frustrate
the peace process. So that is double speaking. That is double standard. That is to say, in my opinion, as a conflict specialist, something is still fishy. He needs to be honest to, first of all, himself, to the stakeholders that will sit with him on a round table to making this peace. Because in resolving conflicts, we first of all look at the root causes. If you don't dig out the root causes, you can't solve that problem. But
the governor, in his statement, he's not taking accountability for the things he has not done right. Because when he was speaking, he said, when he was eulogizing Pa Edwin Clark, the late Pa Edwin Clark, he was saying that Pa Edwin Clark never met him, but Pa Edwin Clark stood for him. And he said that his fight was all about injustice. So he is presenting himself as the victim in Rivers State crisis. Right? If he's saying it's all about injustice, the question would be, how has the suspended governor been instrumental to the crisis in Rivers State? He is not taking responsibility for the things he has not done right. He has not publicly accepted that, okay, mistakes have been made and it's time to retrace, find out, retrace our steps and make amends and then move forward. How does a leader push for peace without seeking that which has led to the chaos in the first instance? They would say leadership also means accepting your weaknesses, know when you make a mistake, take responsibility for that mistake, and then learn from it and move on. But from his statement that day, he was saying that, it's all about fight for injustice. I am bringing this up because of the statement you have made that if there will be an ADR, they have to trace, the root of this crisis. How do you trace the root of the crisis and seek for reconciliation when one of the parties is not taking responsibility for what he has done?
Yes, at this point, the governor, we have said it before on several occasions that the governor needs to own up his mistakes. And he needs to publicly own up these mistakes because our constitution was raped, an arm of a government was demolished. That is an impeachable offense of its own. Court orders were never obeyed. That is unlawful. See, he saw himself as a demigod because of the power of a governor, the immunity clause, the excess resources at his disposal, the security and all that. So I think also that got into his head. That got into his head. The ego was too much. The ego tripping was just so at extreme. So now that he is beginning to realize himself, we give it to him and watch his steps towards the reconciliatory process. Because at this point now, one particular comment he made that I picked very well was when he was cautioning the women.
He said that they are unforgiving. He said the women are unforgiving, bitter
and that their hearts are dark. Possibly, he may be alluding to what happened during this walkout.
But the question would be, attacking the women. One would say, since his suspension, basically 90% of the men, now I'm going gender because he did not attack the men. He did not attack the men, but he attacked the women. Now, after his suspension, 90% of the male gender, the men that were backing him, that were supporting him at all cadres, from past governors to Rivers elders, name them. Nobody has said one word in his support. Nobody has publicly called on the president to lift the state of emergency. None of them has granted all the press releases and the press conference that we are having back to back at that time. Not one of them. I dare anybody to come out and bring evidence to the contrary. None of them have come out to call press conferences to, support the suspended governor, in his crisis and call on the president to lift the state of emergency. In fact, it has been women that have been on the streets day after day protesting. I mean, these women went as far as wearing different uniforms. On Monday, they will wear red t-shirts. The next day, they are wearing blue. And there were allegations that they were sponsored by the governor. And these things happened. It was the same women that staged a walkout on the First Lady, protesting the suspension of the governor. Where have the men been? They've been silent. And then the governor suddenly, on the first day of his public speech, that he has access to, he's face-to-face with them. He lambasted the same women for their support. And he says they are resentful, they are bitter, they are unforgiving, and their hearts are dark. Namzi, please make it make sense to me. Because when I was like, okay, where is this coming from? Is there something that we do not know that's going on?
In the Bible, when the Roman Empire held Jesus, his disciples all ran away. Remember, the ones who tried to come closer are women. The ones who even tended to his needs at that point were women. Thereafter, when they killed him, he resurrected. What happened? A woman was the first person who interfaced with him. So what I'm trying to say is, when Supreme Court used its sledgehammer and scattered everything they were doing, all the unconstitutional behavior, acts, and omissions in Rivers State, as they struck, the flock scattered. So all of them are either here nor there. And to me, that's also a sign to the suspended governor that he does not have genuine support. He only has people around him who want to benefit from benefit from the government coffers. He does not. The people around him are not genuine supporters of his cause. Because if they are genuine supporters of his cause, this is a time to show loyalty. It is a time to give him emotional support. It is a time to stand by him through thick and thin. But we don't see that happening. We have only seen a fraction of them partying and dancing, because they have benefited from Rivers coffers. Some of them stole away the money given to them during the caretaker time. So many of them stole it away. They didn't do nothing for the people. So what I'm trying to say in essence is simple. The men Governor Fubara had around him are not those who truly have capacity to move his cause forward. The women in his group tend to show capacity more than the men.
In a very destructive way.
No, yeah, politically or otherwise.
Probably that's why he's angry.
Yes, politically or otherwise. The most important thing is that the women have shown capacity, even though they have shown that capacity in a wrong way. They have shown that capacity in a very destructive way, because the way they went about it, mobilizing demonstration here and there, while stakeholders are rallying around to see how a table can be formed where people will sit together and there be a stakeholder engagement. So these women have done some wrongs. These women have acted...
Have the men acted right?
No, the men have not shown any form of capacity. They are hiding.
Let us even look at the men.
The women want to make themselves relevant for the next formation of cabinet. That's exactly what they are doing.
Now let's look at the men input. Not even just the men. I don't want to do this. I don't want to turn this into a gender stuff. But let's look at the supporters of the suspended governor, basically across board. You know, I have asked this question over and over again. One would say, this person's, oh, let me rephrase it, is the governor truly the arrowhead in this whole crisis? Or is he a proxy? Is he a proxy? Just like you have, okay, now the question would be, at the heat of the crisis, everybody would say, oh, the governor in the courts, it's between the governor. The FCT minister is not a respondent in that matter.
Yes, of course. He's not a party to any.
The matter is between the governor and the River State House of Assembly. However, the River State House of Assembly is a proxy for the FCT minister.
They are loyal to him.
Yes. So the crisis is between the River State governor and the FCT minister. However, that extended somehow to the River State House of Assembly. So one would say crisis is between the River State House of Assembly and the governor. However, in the grand scheme of things, the River State House of Assembly may be more of a proxy for the FCT minister. Now, the governor, on the other hand, everybody's seeing the governor like he is the person in the thick and the thin of this. But one would say the people advising the governor, the people working with the governor, may be seeing the governor, the suspended governor, as a proxy in his own war. Because at the end of the day, you're looking at people who said, I won't serve master and serve son, and who did not support the son, suddenly coming up to who also have an eye on that position that the son is occupying, who feel that that seat the son is occupying is their own inheritance, and suddenly they now back the son to fight the master. The question would be, is the son, is Fubara in this instance the main person, or is he a proxy, expendable at best? Because I mean, if at the end of the day this is not resolved, he doesn't go back, right? And if he goes back at a point where he cannot even galvanize a single structure for himself. On the other hand, if it goes haywire and probably Fubara bows to pressure and resigns, it is still the same people advising him that will contest.
Of course.
It is still the same people advising him that will bring out their own anointed to take over that position.
Of course.
That's why I'm asking this question. Is the governor a proxy in his own war?
Yes, in my opinion.
Does he even understand this entire scenario?
In my opinion, the governor is not a politician. He does not understand political strategies. He needs people who are really schooled and people who have experience in this regard around him to guide him properly, because he is a proxy, like you asked. He is a proxy in his own war. This is simply because those that are around him, encouraging him to fight his master, are people who have personal vendetta against the FCT. See, what happened in Rivers State shouldn't have happened ordinarily. Just few months after swearing you in as the governor,
3 months.
3 months, and you are beginning to fight your master over what? Over what? You fight your master, you scatter the structure that made you a governor, and you forget that this is the same structure as the stakeholders plan, that this same structure will be used for his re-election. So what was his problem? In my own view, I think he got confused. I think he got deceived. And he's beginning to realize himself. People who deceived their governor are those who had personal vendetta against the FCT minister. They felt, okay, you have hijacked the state structure. We will destroy this structure through your political godson. And they nearly succeeded. If they had scattered that arrangement, believe me, the FCT minister will not be today talking strongly in the national stage.
And then moving forward, the way forward, having seen the body language of the governor, how do you think this is going to pan out in the coming weeks?
The body language of the governor, looking at him, you will know that depression set in.
He's looking...
No, he was looking very good, very healthy. But before now, even before now, he has said in himself that he was depressed. So that shows, within this period of depression, within that time he was going through a lot, he may have thought it through that, look, what are we actually fighting? So this is a time for him to rally round the stakeholders. Let that be a reconciliatory engagement.
Which stakeholders? That's the question now. Who can the governor use in Rivers State? Rivers elders have all taken sides.
Yes, of course.
Most of Rivers elders took sides in this crisis.
See, at this point, politicians, the elders of the state, rule them out of this reconciliation, because if you toe that line, you end up pouring fuel into the fire. Which Rivers elder are you going to allow mediate? I can't find any name that is apolitical in this instance. So, in my view, what will help the governor at this time is to seek the services of a mediator, a certified, qualified, experienced mediator who will interface with all the stakeholders, serve notices, rally around these people, bring them together on an agreed date where stakeholders will sit down and the mediators will be the one, presiding, suggesting policies, suggesting way forward. Because in my view, the only way to solve this problem once and for all and return total and genuine peace back to Rivers State is simple. People made him governor. People gave him the party's flag. And with the Nigerian political space we know, once a party gives you flag, they have formed government in their mind. Stakeholders must agree, okay, His Excellency, when you get in here, this goes here, this goes here, this group gets this group gets this political appointment. For the interest of this block, we are appointing these people to represent. See, this is politics. People, it's all about who gets what, how and when. And it is more of manipulation. Political gladiators manipulate themselves to be relevant in the political table. So, if the governor truly and genuinely wants peace, lasting peace, not a peace hinged on deceit, because if he's not going to be sincere with this peace process, believe me, the crisis will linger again. The crisis will brew again. And if that happens, you know the problem. We already have a Supreme Court judgment. That judgment is alive and running and can never be overturned by any court again in this world. So the only solution now is the political solution. And good thing, the FCT minister, who happened to be the political boss, have opined on way forward. Let's talk with all the stakeholders involved in this matter. And to me, that's just the best way to resolving it. Because there must be stakeholders' engagement to get the right result. Otherwise, we'll return back to status quo.
Well, at this point, then it means that we still have a long way to go. We've not even scratched the surface.
The conflict resolution processes have not been. It has not started at all. It has not. The political solution cannot come by using politicians. They will politicize the process. But if you engage a certified and experienced mediator or mediators, as the case may be, there are certified organizations like the Chartered Institute of Arbitration, which I am a member, the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, which I am a member. So in that organizations, His Excellency can approach the organization to nominate, if he wants 4 mediators, to nominate 4 good heads. And believe me, by the time he sits with them, gives them the brief, they know what to do next. They will rally around these stakeholders with a suggestive date.
Okay.
Reconcile the date, get everybody on the table, and look at the root causes of this case and resolving it once and for all.
All right.